Hello, Dr. Karen here. Welcome to this week's Spiritual Medicine Digest, where the topic is victimization redemption. Ooh, that's a lot of syllables. Anyway, if you're new to my channel, would love for you to hit the subscribe button, perhaps the notification bell, so every time I do a new video, you will automatically be notified. So more about our topic today. And stay tuned because we are going to do a Topekan Healing Activation in just a few minutes. All right, so what do I mean by victimization redemption? Well, years ago, I had discovered, studied, whatever you want to call it, kind of like the formula to resonating in 5D. So jumping from that 3D consciousness to a 5D consciousness, it requires something that is simple, actually. But for most people, including myself, not necessarily easy. And just by following this simple formula, I mean, there could be many different formulas, right? But this is so simple that it can transform your life literally overnight because how you perceive the world will shift and change. So these frequencies that I'm going to share with you right now are kind of like diametrically opposed to the 5D frequencies of love, forgiveness, gratitude, right? So, a lot of people says, oh, yes, it's really helpful to do gratitude practice every day. Absolutely. It absolutely is. And what I notice is that sometimes when things are really easy, we kind of poo-poo them and go, yeah, gratitude, schmatitude, you know what I mean? And we kind of sort of don't really pay attention to it that much because we think, how good can it be? It's free, right? But it is amazingly powerful. And it's sort of like when we do like coaching or mentoring. Sometimes the first thing we ask our clients or students is, what are your wins? Or tell me some good news. And what's fascinating is at first, um, most people are kind of stumped because we are so used to, in our 3D world, we're so used to looking at problems, including the medical profession, which I was a part of. I'm a retired medical doctor. So on the left-hand side of the chart, there was a problem list. We didn't ask the patient, so what's going right with you today? Because obviously you're here for a problem, right? So we're like, okay, your problem list is, okay, you have a family history of diabetes, heart disease, renal disease, and you've got a past history of this disease, that disease, blah, 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 right? It's all around problems. So our consciousness is focused on problems, and understandably, yeah, I mean, maybe in the past, perhaps we had to look out for the saber-toothed tiger, and we are looking out for danger, right? I'm not really sure that story is true. I think there was a past that was not that. I think there was a past that was very peaceful, and the people got along, believe it or not. And somewhere along the line, there was the fall of humanity, and now we are where we are, healing all of that and getting to a higher level. So, what is that formula of resonating in alignment with gratitude, right? Things that we don't necessarily think of as wins. And the more you can be like, in a moment's notice, be able to go, oh, this win, I'm grateful for this, the sooner the shift can happen in your life and the more profound as well, which is why I like to practice that with my students and my clients every time we meet. What are your wins? Tell me some good news. And the more we recognize good news, the more the universe says, yes, that is the dominant energy here. So let me give you more of something for you to consider good news. Now, what is the opposite of that? So the formula, 5D formula, is number one is to take 100%, there we go, 100% responsibility for your life and your experiences. Now, that does not necessarily mean that you blame and judge yourself. Like, oh, look at this terrible thing I've gotten myself into. I'm so awful. No, that's not what we're talking about. Because the other part of the formula, aside from taking 100% personal responsibility for your experiences and how you perceive your experiences, by the way, also letting go of habits and perhaps addictions that some of us have. I'm working on some of them. um, Behaviors like complaining, judging, criticizing, shaming, mocking, envying, gossiping, resenting, and even comparing. That's very interesting, comparing ourselves to others who are less or more successful. So I know that seemed like a very big list, and I'll, put that list below so you can refer to it. But literally, if we avoided and let go of those behaviors and those sometimes knee-jerk addictive behaviors to do those things, we would be resonating in 5D. So it's a very simple formula, but it's not easy for most people. And I do catch myself when I'm doing things like self-criticism. That was a humongous one for me previously. Now it's much better. Maybe not perfect, but much better. And I think the blaming, shaming bit, it can be really addictive too, because there is an, I hate to say it, but there is a little bit of an endorphin, dopamine rush for some people when they complain and blame others, whether that be politics, right? If you're in the US, you know what that's feeling like. Um, or it could be, ancestral trauma, it could be family abuse, it could be all sorts of things that we somehow get a bit of a dopamine hit, an addictive tendency. So our bodies crave this hit, this high. And so we go into that. I know for me, sometimes that, during the, you know what, years ago, it starts with a C, um, it was really, let's just say, easy to fall into patterns of blaming, blaming pharmaceuticals, blaming government, blaming, I don't know, people that weren't awake, whatever it is for the situation. But the energy that is much, much lower. And it's funny because some of the truthers out there were talking about being 5D, and in the next breath, we're making fun of, deriding, and belittling, somebody else. My husband and I were on one of these calls, and he's like, I don't think that's 5D. And I'm like, definitely not 5D. So it is addictive. And like I said, our society as a whole has this kind of pattern, this addiction. So that's one of the things, or many of these things, holding us back from resonating that 5D and getting to that place of that love, that gratitude, that forgiveness, that energy, that higher vibe, that higher octave that we all aspire to be. So, taking a really honest and authentic look at our lives and noticing when we are falling into these addictive patterns without judging and blaming and shaming ourselves, right? Um, is really key, that awareness. And even if you catch yourself doing something like shaming or blaming, you catch yourself and you go, whoop, whoop, not doing that one. This is what I do. Erase, erase. Like, you remember those big chalkboards? Remember what a chalkboard is? I'm old enough to know what a chalkboard is. Anyway, so you had the little chalk, the little thingamajiggy, right? Forgot the name of it. The eraser, yes. And you go erase, you erase the chalkboard, right? Do people do that with a whiteboard? I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, so I do erase, right? What I mean to say is, right, and go back and erase what I said earlier and just be in a different space. And the other, sometimes it can be really subtle. The other thing, the other example I wanted to share with you is a friend of mine recently said, I need to pay my taxes, right? And most people, when they say I need to pay my taxes, there is a sense of obligation, and that sense is lower vibrational, right? Like I need to, or I'll get in trouble. I need to, or I'll have to pay a penalty, or there's a lack of choice there. So, we're good enough friends where, when she said I need to pay my taxes, I'm like, oh, you're choosing to pay your taxes. Right? She's like, all right, I'm choosing to pay my taxes. So she wasn't overtly blaming anyone or judging or shaming or any of those things, but there's that sense of that obligation, that we have no choice. So the opposite of victimization in a way is choice, right? So it's a little nuanced. I just want to share that with you in case you use that language. Robert Tennessee and Stevens also, he was on my podcast a while back. He has now passed away. He has a wonderful book called Conscious Language, and that is a really, really great book. And at the same time, I could be really judgmental with myself for not being able to like do half the stuff that's in the book. But it's a really great book, right? So there are so many different ways. This way we talk about today, literally just that alone, taking 100% responsibility for our experiences, and then avoiding those blaming, shaming, criticizing, comparing, belittling, envying, like all those ings, right, would completely transform our lives and those around us as well, I believe. So for today's Topekan Healing Activation, what I'd like to do is see if we can erase some of those subconscious energetic patterns around this addiction and to help us be more willing to let go of these patterns. So if you are up for that and desiring to be more, or at least resonating in 5D rather than 3D, you can come join me. So let's go into the 0 point field together. Um, Apparently on the body, it's God told me it was like underneath the belly button, which is really close to the dantian in Chinese medicine. So you can even focus on the area below your belly button. You know, there's a saying about these big Buddhas contemplating their bellies, right? Or their belly buttons. Now I know what they mean. Anyway, you can put your hand down there if you want. Go ahead and if it's safe for you to do so, go ahead and close your eyes. And start focusing on the body and feeling any movement, energy, waves, tingles in and around that belly area and or where your hands are. And just focus on that feeling and follow the flow wherever it goes. If you're not feeling anything at all, you might want to rub your hands and get some energy moving. Then put your hand on your belly and then feel the vibe on the body. So just being fully present in the body. Awesome. I'm going to speak the Topekan Healing Directive with these intentions, and you, if you'd like to receive, just make that intention to receive. Here we go. I now command that our addictions to energies that are lower vibrational, including blaming, shaming, criticizing, judging, mocking, belittling, gossiping, resenting, comparing, and envying anything else I missed. That pattern be deleted, dissolved, and uncreated with ease, speed, and grace in the highest and best way. It is now commanded that there be patterns set up that is the healthier version, where we can have healthy, balanced endorphins and dopamine without the need to go into these lower vibrational patterns and energies. I now command that anything preventing us from being 100% willing to take full responsibility for our lives and our experiences be healed and resolved in the highest and best way, all directions of time, with ease, speed, and grace. I now command anything preventing us from being fully willing to let go of these lower vibrational patterns and addictions and that craving be healed and resolved in the highest and best way, all directions of time, with ease, speed, and grace in the highest and best way, and perhaps all timelines where we exist, we're allowed. For this and all other gifts, we give our thanks and gratitude. So be it, and so it is. Awesome. Okay, you can open your eyes if your eyes were closed. Let me know in the comments how this lands for you and whether it's been easier or maybe not so easy to really step into this simple formula for resonating more in the 5D. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Post below this video. And I do have some announcements for this week as well. One is the Light Warrior Radio show on Monday. It is the Dimensional Deep Dive segment with my beautiful friend and mentor, Marcus Bird. We are going to be talking about med beds. Yes, medical beds. Now, medical beds, for those that don't know the terminology, the common conception of this is that this bed is going to cure you of all ailments. You can lie down in this bed, and there have been movies where they actually have these med beds, and they've kept it for the rich, and the lowly people on the planet below have to like, try to get in and to cure their cancer or whatever they are trying to cure. So with energies and frequencies, these med beds are miraculous and they can rebuild the body and heal the body of anything that ails it. And there's a lot of talk, over the last several years around, how these med beds are going to be made free for everyone. And perhaps you already are connected with some sort of service that gives a remote scalar med bed frequency and things like that. I personally am not real thrilled about giving my biometric, information away to anyone. That is not 100% truth, love, and light. And let's just say, ooh, the ones I've tested are not. And Marcus and I talk about what are the pros and cons, of med beds, and what is the alternatives, to med beds. A lot of people are so looking forward to it. Here's the thing. Is a lot of people are looking for something, the easy button to fix them. And you and I know that, especially if you've been on this channel for a while, you and I know that simple does not necessarily mean easy. And if you have a higher responsibility, then sometimes you have to empower yourself to do your own self-healing in order for the next stage of your spiritual evolution. There's nothing wrong with easy, but sometimes easy for one person is not easy for the other because the other has higher responsibility. So anyway, so we have this grand discussion on MedBed. So check out the link below at 12 noon Eastern on Monday. It's airing, and yeah, join in on the conversation. Feel free to comment below that video as well and share it if you like it. One other announcement is that we have a self-healing program called Anxiety SOS. This was a program that I launched a while back on the telesummit because I was seeing a huge need for sensitive souls who were literally reacting to all sorts of things and personalizing it to themselves and thinking they were broken and they needed it to be fixed. And what I realized is that highly sensitive people are expanding their senses, their gifts, sometimes at an even faster rate than the average non-sensitive. And yes, non-sensitives are also expanding their gifts. Call it the ascension process, expansion process, whatever you want to call it, okay? It seems to be happening. So this program was born out of a necessity to help people understand that sometimes what you're feeling is actually physical, okay? But a lot of times for sensitive souls, it is not physical. Not to say that you don't have a physiologic reaction or response to what's going on, but what you're responding to may not be physical in nature. It may be spiritual. And there's very few small percentage of people on the planet that know how to evaluate that, okay? Dimensional, even smaller percentage, okay? Environmental, yeah, more people. But we give you really detailed formula on how to figure these things out and also how to use Topekan healing to actuate the healing. And there's a lot of quality knowledge that is absolutely crucial, especially for highly sensitive souls who, generally speaking, are at a higher responsibility level. So honestly, I hadn't gotten around to putting a lot of our self-healing programs available for purchase on the website. And there's just a lot going on. And it's like, a program I had launched. It was great. People loved it, but I just, didn't have the bandwidth to make a page, a sales page, all that kind of stuff. But my team felt that there was a need for it right now. And I said, okay. So we are doing a very soft launch, no big ads or anything big like that, but if you're on my mail list, you're watching this and you know about it. Of course, if you know someone who's highly sensitive, who is going through anxiety, major stress, and not feeling calm and connected and coherent all the time or most of the time, then perhaps this might be good for them as well. So feel free to share, the link. Like I said, we're doing it kind of on the down low. There's no fancy page or anything like that. We're just letting our community know it is available, and the team has set it up so you have access to that right away. It's a very powerful program, and especially if you already know or want to know how to do muscle testing, it is very powerful because it's the quality questions that I can pretty much guess. There's not another single human on the planet who would ask the kind of questions that I ask in this protocol. It's very, very empowering. So it's one of people's favorite programs, got to tell you. And you're wondering, why don't you have it on the website? One day, one day, maybe 6 months from now. Anyway, I know I'm not really complaining. I'm just being silly. Just to get a laugh. Okay, there we go. All right, let us move on. Let's see. What else am I supposed to talk to you about today? Oh, yes, my freebie. My freebie, yes, as a celebration of the Anxiety SOS launch, we are gifting a Peace Emerging Protocol gift. So initially, this was a meditation I did in the online version of the Light Warrior Training Camp, and it was very profound. We got just incredible feedback from it. And I thought, well, maybe we can repurpose, this meditation, because the way I was in stillness, everyone was in stillness at the time, so the vibe in it, it just felt really, really good. So what I did was I took the time to actually make kind of like a video. Now you don't have to watch it. Most people have their eyes closed, but it's kind of nice if you open your eyes. There are some nice, scenes, things like that. So we've taken the raw audio and put it together with some images so you can really enjoy it. So this gift is a gift from me to you. We'll put the link below where you can have access to this gift. It's just a nice little meditation, especially for the holiday season that's coming up, when we're doing this video. So I hope you enjoy it. And if you do, would love for you to let me know as well how much you enjoy it. So I love giving away stuff and empowering you to have a life that is healthy, happy, harmonious, and joyful. So again, if you are new to my channel, I would love for you to hit the subscribe button and feel free to comment. Let me know how the Topekan Healing Activation landed for you and any ahas or insights that you have based on our topic for today. Thank you so much for joining me and I look forward to seeing you next week. Much love. Bye for now.